Welcome to the Get Fit Guys quick and dirty tips to slim down and shape up. My name is Ben Greenfield and I'm the Get Fit Guy. Just admit it would be pretty nice if you could walk into a gym and do a workout that burns fat and builds muscle at the same time. There's nothing like the best of both worlds. But is it really possible to lose that extra flab around your waistline and get firm, toned muscles at the same time? And if so, how do you do it without defying the laws of physics? In this episode, you'll learn whether it is possible to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time, and if so, how. Technically, it seems impossible to build muscle and lose fat, and here's why. Your body needs about 2,500 calories to build 1 pound of muscle. So, if you wanted to make 1 pound of muscle in 7 days, you could eat an extra 350 calories every day. Assuming you're weight training, those extra calories can easily be converted into muscle. But you also need to burn about 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound of fat. So if you wanted to lose 1 pound of fat in 7 days, each day you would need to eat 500 fewer calories than you were burning, so that your body would use your storage fat for energy instead of the calories you're eating. Unless you have a very cool, physics-defying trick up your sleeve, it's impossible to eat an extra 350 calories a day to build muscle and also eat 500 fewer calories a day to lose fat. So at first glance, it should be impossible to both build muscle and lose fat. But in a situation like this, the best place to turn is science, which can tell us whether something that seems to be impossible may actually be possible. One study from California State University tracked a group of healthy men for 8 weeks. The men ate a lot of food, over 4,000 calories a day, and did weight training 4 days a week for 60 to 90 minutes. These men gained an average of 6 pounds of muscle, but also gained a half pound of fat. But in another study, men also trained with weights several times a week, and this time they ate just a little over 2,000 calories a day. This group gained 2.5 pounds of muscle and lost over 7 pounds of fat. A similar set of studies were done on women. Women who performed weight training workouts for 8 weeks but didn't diet added 2.4 pounds of muscle, but also didn't lose much fat. In the same study, a group of women who dieted added a pound of muscle over the same time frame, but also lost a significant amount of fat. So far, you've learned that you can gain muscle and lose fat at the same time, but you need to be willing to gain muscle at a significantly lower rate than you would if you weren't trying to lose fat at the same time. So perhaps the most interesting study is a study of 14 women who were on a significantly small 800-calorie high-protein diet. 7 of the women lifted weights for 30 to 40 minutes, 3 days a week, and the other 7 women dieted but did not lift weights. Both groups of women lost 33 pounds, but the group that weight lifted actually increased their lean muscle mass by 6%, whereas the women that did not lift weights lost muscle along with the fat. So now you've learned that if you want to lose fat and build muscle at the same time, you can even do it when you're dieting on a very low-calorie diet, but you have to lift weights. Now, there's one missing key that will make it far easier to lose fat and build muscle at the same time. Rather than simply going on a low-calorie, high-protein diet and lifting weights, you can get much better results if you cycle your calorie intake. No, this does not mean that you eat while you're on a bicycle. What it does mean is that you fluctuate or cycle between a period of low calorie intake and weightlifting and a period of high calorie intake and weightlifting. Although you can lose a significant amount of fat with this strategy, it will also allow you to build muscle more quickly than simply dieting. So how do you use this muscle building, fat burning, cycling strategy? There are 2 options. The first option is to eat a low calorie diet, 500 to 1,000 calories lower than your metabolic rate, and make sure you're consuming adequate protein. If you need to read more or learn more about how much protein to eat, check out the episode, Do Muscle Building Supplements Really Work? Over at getfitguy.quickanddirtytips.com. So you do this eating a low-calorie diet and consuming adequate protein 5 to 6 days a week. But then 1 to 2 days a week, you eat a higher amount of calories, preferably 500 to 1,000 calories more than what you're burning. This is called your refeed day. And you can learn more about it in the free Get Fit Guy newsletter that gets sent out on a weekly basis. You can sign up for that on the upper right side of the page over at quickanddirtytips.com. So the second option, which can actually be tougher to adhere to, is to eat the same low-calorie diet while weightlifting for 3 to 5 weeks, then spend 1 to 2 weeks incorporating a higher calorie intake. And I can tell you from personal experience that spending 3 to 5 weeks on a low-calorie diet can be mentally and physically challenging. So rather than cycling on a long-term weekly basis, it's better to cycle on a week-to-week basis. Of course, none of the calorie cycling or refeeding methods outlined will work unless you're weight training. So, what's the best workout to lose fat and build muscle? The key is to not overdo it, since you'll already be at a slight calorie deficit. So, for example, 3 days per week, you can lift weights for 30 to 40 minutes. And then on a fourth day, which would be your refeeding day, you can exercise harder and lift weights for 60 to 90 minutes, since you'll be consuming more calories on that day. If you're adopting the weekly protocol instead, you could go 3 to 5 weeks lifting weights for 30 to 40 minutes every other day, and then on your higher calorie intake weeks, you lift weights longer and harder, such as 60 to 90 minutes every other day. Here is a sample program for the 30 to 40 minute weightlifting session and the 60 to 90 minute weightlifting session. For the 30 to 40 minute session, you're going to do these exercises as a circuit 3 to 4 times through with 10 to 12 repetitions for each exercise. If you're unsure of these movements or instructions, use the link that I'm going to put in the show notes to see the exercise videos. Number 1, dumbbell chest press. Number 2, pull up or pull down. Number 3, dumbbell shoulder press. Number 4, seated row or one-arm row. Number 5, squat. Number 6, deadlift. Number 7, incline crunch. So again, for the 30 to 40 minute session that you do on the lower calorie intake days, you complete all those exercises as a circuit 3 to 4 times through with 10 to 12 repetitions for each exercise. Now, for the 60 to 90 minute session, you do those same exercises, but you instead complete them one by one rather than completing them as a circuit, and you perform 4 to 5 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions of each exercise before moving on to the next exercise. Now, you'll get pretty good aerobic benefit out of your weightlifting, but if you want to include cardio, just perform a brief, intense 10-minute cardio bout before each weight training session. If you're at a calorie deficit, then doing much more aerobic training than that may actually inhibit the muscle gain. Finally, remember that the only way to truly know if you're losing fat and building muscle is to take your body fat percentage on a regular basis. And I'll be telling you how to do that in next week's episode. So until next time, this is the Get Fit Guy asking you, what are you waiting for? Go get fit.